All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're going to break down two absolute giants in the data world, Databricks and Snowflake. Now, you've probably heard of them. They're both huge, both promising to solve that big data mess every company is dealing with. But what's really fascinating is that they go about it in completely opposite ways. I mean, think about it. In today's world, you're not just collecting data. You're basically drowning in it. And the real trick isn't just having the data, right? It's about turning that absolute flood of information into something useful, smart decisions that actually help the business. And that's the exact problem these two companies set out to solve. Okay, so if you're going to remember one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this quote right here. Wayne Horkin, who used to head up data platforms, he absolutely nailed it. Databricks is infrastructure for builders. Snowflake is for consumers. That's it. That's the key. Are you building something from the ground up, or are you using a ready-made service? Just keep that idea in your head as we go through this. So to really get why they're so different, we got to go back to the beginning. Let's check out where these two titans came from. Now, look at this. They were founded just 1 year apart. You might think they'd be pretty similar, but nope. Don't let that fool you. Their starting points put them on totally different tracks right from the get-go. Snowflake was all about taking the traditional data warehouse and making it perfect for the cloud. Databricks, though, it came straight from the creators of Apache Spark, a massive open source project. Their goal was all about handling huge amounts of data and, you guessed it, AI. And this really gets to their core DNA, their engineering soul. Databricks, with its academic and open source roots, it's all about flexibility, tinkering, having that control. But Snowflake, well, it was built by ex-Oracle guys. And if you know anything about Oracle, their world is all about enterprise-level reliability and rock-solid security. These two very different starting points, they pretty much dictate everything else about them. See? And this brings us right back to that main idea we talked about, builders versus consumers. So the question for you is, what kind of team do you have? Do they want to get their hands dirty and engineer a custom solution, or do they just want something that works perfectly right out of the box? And man, this comment from a data engineer on Reddit, it just perfectly captures that feeling, that trade-off. For some people, the fun is the engineering, right? They love tuning clusters, tweaking pipelines, having that deep, granular control. But for a lot of other folks, all that stuff is just a headache. It's overhead getting in the way of the real work. Yeah, someone in that same thread used a great analogy. They said using Snowflake is like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. All the pieces are perfectly made, they fit together beautifully, and you get a nice picture at the end. Databricks, on the other hand, is like being handed a whole workshop full of power tools and raw materials. You can build anything, but you got to design and cut the pieces yourself. Both get you a great result, but the journey, totally different. All right, enough with the philosophy and analogies. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. How does this builder versus consumer thing actually show up in the tech? So when you look at their core architecture, it really boils down to control versus simplicity. With Databricks, you are 100% in the driver's seat. It's built on Apache Spark. It uses this open data format called Delta Lake, which means you can tweak everything. And importantly, you're not locked in. Snowflake, they take the exact opposite path. They abstract all that stuff away. It's a proprietary engine, a proprietary format, and the whole point is that you don't have to think about the underlying servers or clusters. It's serverless. It just works. Okay. So what are these things actually good for? Well, this is where it gets really clear. Databricks is the undisputed king of AI and machine learning. Its flexibility and deep integrations make it the go-to for that kind of heavy-duty work. But Snowflake? Oh man, for business intelligence, it's an absolute beast. Its SQL engine is screaming fast, which is why it's powering all those critical dashboards that CEOs are looking at every morning. And you even see this difference in the languages they speak. Databricks is a true polyglot. It's totally fluent in Python, Scala, R, and SQL. It's basically a data scientist's dream playground. Snowflake, though, is proudly, unapologetically SQL first. Yeah, they're adding support for other languages with Snowpark, but make no mistake, its heart and soul is and probably always will be SQL. So this all rolls up into how you actually operate these platforms. It's that classic trade-off, right? Databricks gives you way more control, but that control comes with more complexity. You have all this power, but you need the engineers who know how to use it. Snowflake is all about simplicity, but that comes at the cost of control. It's a fully managed, it just works kind of deal, but you can't really pop the hood and tinker with the engine. Okay, so after all that, How in the world are you supposed to choose between them? Well, here's the secret. Asking which one is better it's the wrong question entirely. There is no best one. The real question you should be asking is, which one is the best fit for us, for our team, our goals, and the kind of company culture we have? And a great way to think about this is by looking at who's actually going to be using the platform day to day. You got a team of machine learning engineers and data scientists who live and breathe Python. Well, Databricks is going to feel like home to them. But if your main users are business analysts or maybe your compliance team who just need a super reliable governed world where they can run SQL queries, Snowflake is the no-brainer choice there. But here's the real twist. In the real world, for a lot of big companies, it's not actually an either-or choice. What do? They use both. It's super common to see companies using Databricks as that builder layer for all the heavy, complex data engineering and AI modeling, and then they feed that clean, processed data into Snowflake, which acts as the consumer layer for the rest of the business. So when you really get down to it, your choice between Databricks and Snowflake says a whole lot more about your company than it does about the tech itself. It's a question of strategy. Are you trying to build a culture that attracts top-tier engineers to push the boundaries of AI? Or is your main goal to give everyone in the business fast, easy, and governed access to data? The answer to that question will pretty much tell you which platform to pick. And that leaves us with one last massive question to think about. As AI becomes less of a separate thing and just becomes part of, well, all data work, which of these two philosophies is going to win out in the long run? Is the future going to be shaped by the builders and their powerful, flexible toolkits, or by the consumers and their simple, seamless experiences? Honestly, the answer to that is probably going to define the data world for the next 10 years.